The corpse's eyes were still open when we cracked the ice around it. They were frozen gray. Hours later, someone swore those same eyes blinked. No one said that part officially, of course. Out here, in the middle of nowhere, words become weather. They travel, change shape, and come back to you as something else. By the time the story reached me, it was, Sawyer says the thing followed him with its eyes. I laughed. Everyone did. We were already on edge, though. Antarctica does that to you. The cold isn't just temperature here. It's a pressure. It gets into your bones, your mood, your dreams. Our station, Halcyon Outpost, was a collection of low, prefabricated modules, half buried in snow. 6 months of dark season isolation, 7 people, and a whole lot of ice core data. I was here for the ice. More precisely, anomalies in deep ice strata that might hold clues about ancient climate cycles. The truth was simpler. I wanted to disappear somewhere nobody could follow me. It didn't surprise me that the thing we found had chosen the same place. We hit it on day 64. Core's up. Sawyer's voice crackled over the radio. Come take a look, Jack. Got something weird for you. We stepped into the drill dome. The latest core lay segment by segment along a padded bench, but the last section, yeah, that was different. Density's off, Sawyer said. Hidden inclusion around 92 meters. Thought it was rock at first. It's not. The core segment looked like glass more than ice. Clearer, denser, pale blue-green. Suspended inside it was something shaped like a human forearm. My stomach dropped. Is that bone? Sawyer finished. Looks like it anyway. Under the dome lights, the pale form resolved more clearly. Fingers, a wrist. Thin, dark shapes that could have been fabric. The skin seemed almost perfectly preserved. Translucent, waxen. It didn't look like something that had been down there for decades. It looked recent. We log it carefully, I said. We let Cooper handle extraction. If this is human remains, we treat it properly. By the time Cooper summoned us to the lab, the corpse's entire upper body was visible in the ice. It lay twisted sideways, arms drawn in, as if bracing against something. A tattered parka clung to it. The facial features were blurred, but you could make out a nose, cheekbones, a sunken mouth, and the eyes. They were open. Frost crystals fanned out from the lashes like secondary lashes of their own. We'll document everything, send it topside, and wait for instructions, Cooper said. No one touches it until then. That night, the wind screamed hard enough to rattle the walls. I lay awake in my narrow bunk, staring at the dark. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw its frozen ones. I found Kira in the galley around 3 a.m. You couldn't sleep either? I asked. She shook her head. I went past the cold lab. The motion sensor logged activity. A draft can trigger those. There are no drafts in that corridor. I checked the camera. What did you see? Nothing, just the light flickering for a second, but the sensor flagged it as movement. We sat in silence. Then the lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. By morning, we had bigger problems. The external antenna array had iced over. Our main comms link crackled with static, then died. We fell into our usual pattern: repairs, maintenance, data logging. But there was a new weight in the station's air now. Sawyer claimed he'd seen its fingers shift slightly under the ice. Post-mortem processes can react to temperature changes, Cooper said. It's been frozen solid for who knows how long, Kira countered. Post-mortem happened a long time ago. We checked. The ice around the face had gone from cloudy to almost completely transparent. The features looked sharper. I told myself it was just the lighting. 3 days later, we stopped pretending nothing was wrong. That morning, I woke from a dream I couldn't shake, walking down the station corridor, someone matching my steps behind me. When I spun around, no one was there. Later, Anders told Kira about a noise he'd heard in the night, like footsteps in the service tunnel. But when I checked the camera, nobody was there. By afternoon, Cooper sent Sawyer and Anders out to chip ice off the external junction box. I busied myself in the cold lab. Up close, I noticed details I'd missed before. The parka had a stitched patch on the chest, a faded emblem. The face was lean, with high cheekbones and a scar by the left eyebrow. A low beep sounded from the wall monitor. Motion detector, triggered in the corridor outside. The camera feed activated automatically. Empty hallway, nothing moving. The motion detector icon flashed again. The camera image didn't change. I reset the system and logged it as a false positive. The scream woke me at 3:17. Cooper's voice crackled over the intercom. Everyone to the main corridor, now. The body lay at the junction of the service tunnel and the main corridor. Anders. His eyes were open, mouth slack. His arms were twisted behind him as if someone had yanked them upward and kept pulling. One of his legs pointed the wrong way entirely. There was very little blood. It looked less like an accident and more like something deliberate. Something that knew where the breaking points were. Cooper knelt and checked for a pulse she knew she wouldn't find. There are no sharp edges here, no exposed machinery, no fall hazards. Nothing he could have caught himself on to end up like this. The overhead lights flickered. Somewhere down the hall, a door control clicked. "The corpse," Sawyer said suddenly. "Where is it?" The cold lab door stood slightly open. Inside, the sled table in the center sat empty. The ice block was gone. "Check the logs," Cooper said. "Last recorded entry, 30 minutes ago. Motion. Inside lab. Temperature shift, -2 degrees Celsius. Door. Opened. Closed. Opened again. No biometric scans. No visual record. Camera feed. Static. Either we've got the worst time system failure in history, or someone does not want us to see what happened in here," Kira said. "We searched everywhere. Equipment rooms, storage lockers, the generator module, nothing. No tracks, no scrape marks, no shards of chipped ice." Cooper gathered us in the mess. At approximately 0300, Anders left his bunk. At 0317, he screamed. We found him dead, with injuries inconsistent with a fall. Around the same time, the cold lab logged a temperature drop and door activity. The camera malfunctioned, and the ice block is no longer in the lab. "Say it," Sawyer said hoarsely. "Say what? That a frozen body took a walk through the station and attacked a trained communications officer? What if the problem isn't that the body moved?" Kira said slowly. "What if the problem is that it doesn't belong to just one place? Whatever happened to it out there, what if that's still happening? It could be stuck between things." "You're talking nonsense," Cooper snapped. "This isn't a ghost story. It's worse. It's physics. If the environment that killed it is still ongoing somehow, maybe we just intersected it. We're seeing pieces of a process that hasn't actually stopped." "She's saying," I managed, "that maybe time didn't stop when he died. And when we brought him here, we didn't end anything. We just tied ourselves into it. Until we reestablish contact, we treat this as an environmental hazard," Cooper said finally. "No one alone. No unnecessary movement. Critical tasks only." The next 48 hours were a blur of controlled panic. We moved in pairs. We slept in shifts. 3 times, the motion sensors pinged in empty corridors. The 3rd time, we found footprints. In the service tunnel, beneath the main modules. Boot prints, human-sized. They led from the tunnel entrance toward the cold lab junction, then stopped. No turn. No return path. "Those aren't new," Cooper said. "Look at the tread pattern," Kira said. "The soles were narrow, with a particular chevron pattern." "That's an old model," Sawyer said. "Pre-standardization. from the 70s. We left them undisturbed. That night, the footsteps from my dream returned. I lay in my bunk, eyes open, listening. Step, step, pause. The sound moved along the corridor. Slow and unhurried. I could feel exactly when it passed my door, because something in the air changed. The next morning, my door had frost along the bottom seam. No other door did. During a check of the external temperature monitors, Kira discovered the area above the drill site had become colder than the surrounding ice. Localized drop, she said, like something is drawing heat out of that column specifically. Maybe we exposed some different ice structure, or maybe whatever was inside it isn't here or there. Maybe it's both, or neither. Do you ever get the feeling that we didn't bring something back? That we stuck our hands into something we can't pull them out of. On the fourth night after Anders died, Sawyer vanished. We found his radio in the mess. We found his parka missing from the rack. No one saw him leave. No one heard the airlock cycle. Cooper checked the external cameras. Nothing. Just swirling snow and a horizon swallowed by white. We tried to search. Cooper insisted we stay tethered in pairs within a tight grid around the station. The wind chewed at us. We called his name over and over. The storm answered. We found nothing. The next day, the generator hiccuped. For 3 terrifying seconds, the lights went out. When the backup kicked in, emergency lights bathed everything in dim red. Power, reduced but functional. Comms, intermittent. People, unraveling. It was that evening that I saw him. Through the viewing window, at the very edge of visibility, stood a figure facing the station. A person. No parka, no goggles, just a shape in old, frost-stiffened clothing. Even from this distance, I could see the outline of a face. And the eyes, open, fixed on the window, on me. The next gust of snow erased him. I didn't tell the others, not yet. The confirmation came sooner than I thought. I woke to the feeling of someone sitting on the edge of my bed. Half awake, I mumbled, "Kira." No answer. The shape didn't move. Slowly, I opened my eyes. A silhouette sat at the end of the bunk, shoulders slightly hunched. Head tilted in my direction. Not close enough to see the face. Close enough to know it had one. "Who's there?" I whispered. The shape didn't respond. I forced my hand up, reaching for the bedside lamp switch. I flicked it on. The bunk was empty. The blanket had a shallow depression where knees would have pressed. Then I saw the frost. A thin pattern traced across the far wall, like the outline of fingers that had rested there. 5 faint streaks of white that faded even as I stared. The next day, I told Kira, "I think he's moving through the station." When we found him, he was already between worlds. Frozen, but not decayed. Preserved, but not at rest. We are not talking about ghosts. We're talking about something worse. What if he's not dead in the way we understand it? What if the process that killed him got stalled by the ice? We brought that into a closed system, and we may have restarted something that never properly stopped. An echo. Exactly. Echoes don't bend people in half. Her silence was damning. Maybe it doesn't know the difference between us and whatever it was struggling against. Maybe it's just repeating whatever it last did, over and over. Cooper made us do another full station sweep. In the tunnel beneath the cold lab, we found ice. A thick, translucent layer spread across the floor and partly up the walls, as if something cold had lain there for a long time. Embedded inside, we could just make out a faint, dark shape. Fabric, leather, the edge of a zipper. "We're done," Kira said, her voice shaking. "We have to shut everything down," Seal this module and wait for extraction. Extraction that can't reach us yet, Cooper replied. We can still send a burst. Tell them full quarantine, full evac. And if whatever this is tags along, we don't know if it's anchored to this place or to us. We are not dying here, Kira said. Then we need to understand what we're dealing with, Cooper said. I think it's anchored to where we pulled it from, that drill site. If we can re-isolate that area, return it, maybe we can break whatever loop we're tangled in. Send it back, Kira murmured. We chose the plan. The storm had calmed by the time we suited up. We trudged toward the drill dome in tight formation. Inside, the air was frigid but still. The rig stood silent. Our plan, drill another shaft close to the original, then use explosive charges to collapse the ice around the area. Seal it, bury it, surrender. As we worked, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched from below. We were a few meters down when the first tremor hit. Seismic? Kira asked. No activity logged topside, Cooper replied. Local displacement only. We kept going. The tremor returned, stronger. Shut it down, Cooper ordered. Now. I killed the drill. A deep, low sound rose up from beneath us. It sounded like something waking up. Out, Cooper said. Everyone out. We turned toward the door. It didn't open. Power's fine, Kira said. The lock's not responding. The low sound beneath us deepened. Hairline fractures raced across the floor. Back from the shaft, I said. We moved, but the ice moved faster. The floor buckled inward. I stumbled, hit the bench, and went down hard. The crack opened. Not like a mechanical failure, like a mouth. Cold surged upward in a wave. My breath vanished. For a moment, I saw something in the darkness below. An impression. A person caught mid-fall, arms reaching, legs twisted. Ice rushing up around them. I recognized them. The corpse. Only it wasn't just lying there. It moved. We hadn't dragged it out of its grave. We dragged ourselves into it. The floor gave way beneath me. For a heartbeat, I was weightless, suspended over a hole that felt impossibly deep. Then I fell. The cold hit like impact with solid glass. Ice closed around me from all directions. It wasn't like being buried. It was being absorbed. I couldn't scream. Through the narrowing slit of light above, I saw the dome floor sealing again. A shadow passed across that shrinking circle. A face leaned over the edge. Not Cooper's, not Kira's, his, the corpse's. He wasn't frozen now. His skin looked pale but pliant. His eyes were open. No cloudiness. They were gray, clear, calm. He watched me as the ice closed over, not with malice, just with a kind of weary recognition, like we were trading places. My limbs grew heavy. The cold moved inward. Past my skin, past my bones. In that last narrowing of vision, a realization settled in. Maybe there had never been a first version of him. Maybe every time he'd reached this point, the roles had shifted. One more body under the ice, one more set of eyes above it. Over and over. Not copies, rotating positions. The world above became a blur, then a smear of light, then nothing. The pressure steadied. Silence sank in. Far above, footsteps crossed the newly sealed floor. Slow, measured. Someone walked toward the exit, toward the station, toward the lives still trying to make sense of what had happened. I knew, without seeing, what they'd say when they got back. They'd talk about the tremor, the collapse, the way I'd gone under before anyone could react. They'd say they couldn't save me. They'd grieve. They might even look out the window one night and see a figure standing in the snow, watching. They'd tell themselves it was their imagination. It wouldn't be, because as the cold settled into me completely, I understood the last cruel truth. The outpost was never haunted by the thing we dug up. It was haunted by whoever it left behind, and now that was me.